Hey, Gestalt Education Nation. New sponsor alert. Today, we're excited to announce Dynamic Disc Designs and Jerome Fryer. We have an awesome discount code for you. Just use the code Gestalt to get a little bit of money off on the Dynamic Disc Designs. They're the most realistic anatomical discs that we've ever seen. If you caught our episode with Dr. Stuart McGill, you saw an entire shelf full of them. Everything from cavitation instruction to disc dysfunction to SI joint dysfunction, all sorts of amazing
joint
stuff.
movement,
Yes,
vertebral movement.
Absolutely. So go to Dynamic Disc Designs, use the code Gestalt. As always, you can use the code Gestalt on Core 360 belt to get a little discount on the belts there. We love to use that for biofeedback for teaching respiration, intra-abdominal pressure, and how the abdominal wall should be working during function. And then the last one, use the code Gestalt Education 10. Those will all be in the description in the podcast. Gestalt Education 10 at humanlocomotion.com to get off some money off of all of his awesome gadgets and tools and rehab materials. What's your favorite, Brett?
He's got a trunk full, but I think, integrating the Toe Pro in, I think, has been a game changer for us here at the office. So I think that would be my pick.
Beautiful. All right, guys, don't forget, use the code Gestalt, Gestalt Education 10. Visit the show notes and you'll be hooked up. Thanks. Enjoy the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gestalt Education Show. Today, we are sitting down with our very, very special guest, all the way from the Czech Republic, Jachym Kolar. So, Jachym came to basically hang out with us for 2 weeks, and so we've had the pleasure of being in the clinic with him, treating patients with him, talking about cases, talking about all sorts of amazing things. And the thing that we're going to break down today is that your big passion project, if you will, is the visual system on movement. So how the visual aspects, how our eyes literally create movement, and how it all is kind of played in together. And so that's what we're going to get into. But first off, you brought us a little treat today.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what you brought us?
Well, so this is a typical Czech drink. It calls slivovice.
Uh-huh.
So let's just taste it, guys.
Cheers.
Enjoy.
Thanks for being here. Yeah.
And how we say in Czech Republic, na zdraví.
Na zdraví. That's right.
What a start. We're off and rolling now.
Beautiful. Well, Jachym, give us a little bit of just a quick background on you, and then how you got involved with DNS. But then and then we'll kind of get into the topic of our conversation today.
Yeah, of course. So I'm coming from Czech Republic. I work at the private clinic of Prague School.
Mm-hmm. Your father, right?
That's not my... Yeah, that's kind of coincidence. We have the same last name, but unfortunately, we don't have same skills.
Sure.
So it's just like in Czech Republic, Kolar, it's quite common last name. So, and yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, 6 years or 5 years ago, I started to work with DNS treatment, with DNS assessment. And also I was trying to think, okay, so how we could improve the exercise. I always was totally fall in love with the sport. So I love work with athletes, with the sports club. And so for me, those was the question, how could I improve the sport performance and also for example, my body. Mm-hmm. So my question was that sometimes I could see that a lot of athletes are really coming back to me. So they had some problem, we treated, it was okay, and then they come back because of the same reason. So I started to think, okay, so maybe it's not the problem only in your body and in your centration of the joints and stuff like this, but maybe the problem could be in your brain, and that would be the topic, in your sensors. Mm-hmm. And probably for us, the main sensor is vision. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's really, I would give you a really simple example. If you don't have a really good visual acuity, then your head will go forward, and we can talk that we have a pelvis above the trunk and above the head. And it's not problem our trunk stabilization. It's problem our vision that we can't see properly for example, the ball. So and if we can't see properly the ball, our head like goes forward, and our body is like totally collapsed. So.
Well, and, one of the main aspects that I've heard, Brett, you include in every single one of your presentations is the tenet of DNS is multisensory integration. And so I think that's exactly what we're going to get in today is it's not just the output, but it's also the input that drives some of the output, correct? So where at in development does this kind of start? If we look at, a developing child in the first year of life, like where does the visual systems first start to get its integration?
Yeah, so the first point is that all start from the 6th week of childhood development. In the 6th week, the little newborn started to optic fixation, which is really important for the next to move to next level of movement. If finally the kid sees something or like catch something by the eyes, then the movement that could give the idea to his brain or her brain that okay, so I can finally see something, so let's play with this, let's catch this. So lately we can see okay, so the kid wants to catch the ball or catch the toy or just catch your dad or mother, doesn't matter. So that could be, I think, that the first point that is really we could see that how important is optic fixation, even in the childhood, and how the optic fixation started to grow the movement.
And do you think then, if we teach in DNS that maybe 30% of the children are not going through the ideal development, do you think that same 30% then their visual system is also being impacted because of that? So if we're talking about central coordination disturbance, then these children are also possibly also having trouble coordinating the muscles around the eye. I'm assuming yes, but
for sure. I think that definitely you are right. I'm not sure about how many percent it is. But okay. I don't know if it's 30%, 40%,
but it's
20%.
some. Yeah.
But they definitely, of course, our movement, that's kind of we have so many sources what give us the information, and it makes us for the outputs and the outcome. So,
and I think, here in the US, the visual system's probably the next frontier, I feel like. So, and you and I, we've had some good conversations recently about what we're about to talk about. So, especially in the professional teams, I'll speak for baseball, we have a lot of technology now to help, either virtually be looking at what, the ball would look like coming out of the hand for all pitchers in baseball. However, I think the one thing that kind of gets glossed over is that there's a lot more involved than just looking at a computer program and just training movement of your eyes. And what we talked about the other day, we were kind of talking about, if we just use the analogy of a shoulder, for example, we all know that you can have a relatively pain-free, decently moving shoulder, but that doesn't mean that all the muscles are being coordinated in the most ideal way. So if we took the 6 muscles around the eyeball, do you think it's possible that we could start to develop imbalance between these eyes or between these muscles for whatever the reason is? And maybe that could be compromising blind spot and other things with the vision.
We have a couple of manual therapy how we can influence also our eye muscles. So it's a lot of a fascia points, also trigger points right here in my. It's not that we should press to our eyes. It's just press here the strongest muscle. It calls the superior oblique. A muscles, which is probably the main muscles for the accommodation and doing a movement and catching something. So these muscles I think that I would say very often it's in hypertenus. So of course it's same if you work with a good stabilization of the shoulders. So you release the fascia points here, trigger points around the shoulders, and then put it to some DNS exercise. If we have a really good the source of information from our vision, definitely. So we have to start with release the trigger points in our eye muscles, the fascia points around our eyes, and that could be like the preparation for the system, and we could receive a pretty good information in really higher quality. That what I would like to say, that of course if you have a blind people, and of course let's say I wouldn't be rude normal people,
Sure.
but it's not about okay, so everyone we can see something, that's not a problem, but mainly in the sport, you a normal vision, that's not enough. You have to have a really a good quality. So that's, try to imagine that the ball coming to you, and there's a big difference if you know that the ball is 3 meters in front of you or 2.9 meters. This is, for example, in baseball, tennis, American football, ice hockey. Wow, that's gonna be a huge difference if you notice this maybe little
Difference,
little differences in your motor output and motor outcomes.
Well, it's just like in the first year of development, we talked about that the visual system, or the need, right? The need drives the movement. I would say that the same thing in sports, being able to identify, I think that's what you're saying, being able to identify where things are at. We talk about Wayne Gretzky didn't go to where the puck was, it was where it's going to be.
That's a great sentence. I know that. Yeah.
And so I think that that's a very good, thought to bring up, is being able to train the eyes to accommodate better. How do you then incorporate this maybe eye training or assessment into DNS exercise? Or what's kind of your ideas around that?
Well, I think that the trunk stabilization influences the optic fixation, but also optic fixation influence the trunk stabilization, which gives me the energy, that the idea to have a combination of vision training and DNS exercises could be really good to mix it together.
Well, I think too, it's been proven, trunk positioning, the activation of the abdominal wall is definitely affecting how you're activating your cervical spine muscles. And I think we'd probably find that the cervical spine activation then is also affecting position of our head and things like that, which ends up affecting our vision.
In DNS, very often we are speaking about the correctly timing of the muscles. And we have a couple of research that the first move, if something impress me here, so the first move what I will do, it will be with my eyes, and then goes head and rotate your whole body. So again, it's still same. If the first thing will be incorrectly or will be do in a not a good quality, then I wouldn't say that everything will be ruined. But we don't have the really amazing movement what the sports and what the athletes definitely need.
And we talk about how destructive, for the rotational athlete, early rotation will be, whether it's tennis, baseball, golf. And a lot of times the eyes are, I think, the culprit, because your eyes are focused on what you're trying to hit. Therefore, your body's trying to, in a way, move too early or too soon to try to get to the target. So the eyes then actually... it's not problematic. It's just the reality of trying to get there too soon, and then
it's almost tricking your brain to think, I just need to hit this damn ball now, instead of allowing everything to kind of work perfectly. Beautiful. And then let's talk maybe a little bit. You showed us some of the technology that you guys like. What's some of the technology you do utilize? And you kind of explained to us earlier in this week about how you kind of incorporate that in with maybe some bear exercise or other exercise like that.
Bear exercise, sitting, also oblique sit. That's kind of pretty good exercise where you can combine the vision training and with the DNS exercise. We have so many equipments what we are like using in the vision training. Maybe you will know, or in America, it's really popular a synaptic program, also a neuro tracker program, and this is like kind of like software in your computers, and like a really equipment what we are using, it calls cue ball. It's a reaction ball, not like in the properly size, but you have
ridges and
yeah, exactly. So if you just throw the ball, you never make like a same position like repeatedly.
Sure.
Yeah. So
the ball may react differently. You may have to
and the
move differently.
the ball has also a couple of numbers. So you are just trying to catching the ball and make it correctly. Optic fixation, read the numbers, then throw back.
Cool.
So that's one that's one equipment. Then we have it calls brain endurance stick. It's kind of like stick like this. So you have two stick which you can hold in your hands, and again make some movement with the sticks. And yeah, of course, again you can use the development position. So
Perfect.
yeah, and also it's a Marsden ball. Maybe I will show you pictures and we can like add
perfect.
to the video how
Absolutely.
it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the
That'd be
like,
great.
better
Put some links.
understanding.
I'll put links in there.
And then when you train vision with your athletes specifically, how long are the sessions? How many times a week? Like, what do you, to really have an effect on the visual system, what do you think that looks like for the people that are specifically wanting to only train vision?
I wouldn't say only vision. Yeah, I think
But
still. Yeah, I understand.
Maybe your assessment says I need to train their vision. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a really hard question. It's even like how patients ask us, like, okay, so how often do I have to like train the DNS?
Right.
Yeah, definitely it should be like every day, because we would like to see that then the things will be like doing automatically. Yeah, so I don't have probably the answer that, okay, so you have to do it every day, 5 minutes, and in 6 weeks, it's all like your life will be changed.
But do you think, are the athletes doing anything at home to train the vision, like with the computer program, or you're just kind of relying on that when they're with you in the office? Or
No, definitely also train at home.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that these equipments are kind of special, but you can use your thumbs. Just this. Really like this exercise is called pencil push-up, so you can have your pencil, it doesn't matter, thumb, and doing just this. Yeah, still fixate one point. So this is like kind of really simple how we can like improve our vision and combine it with my body. And yeah, for sure you can do it like at home without any problem. So
what about like with your athletes? Are you having them like pre-game? Let's say you have a hockey goalie. Like, what are some of the things that maybe how are you training them to prime the brain?
I have something, and I'm calling like it a warm up. It's just these little very simple practice. I don't know, only 3 minutes before every game. Like to start your body, your vision, then integration in your brain with the motor outputs. Because, and again, I think that's really like that should be noticed, that it doesn't make sense that we are doing a warm up for whole your body to like warm up my muscles, and of course we have also muscles here, and probably the most important thing, our brain.
Right.
So we should like start warm up also our brain. Yeah. Very often we could see that the game is started, and first quarter or first half in the game, the guys are like starting to really slowly. Okay, so warming up. So I think that could be also like, and you need just 4 minutes like to warm up your vision, your brain, and yeah.
I was telling Jachym one time when I was over in Prague, and Pavel had us come to the soccer game, and Peter Cech, who was the famous goalie who wore the helmet, and And he was just telling a story of like now, I mean, there's analytics like on, where they're getting scored at and things like that. And ironically, as tall as Peter Cech was, where he was getting beat was above him. So they were actually kind of working on like that deficiency. For some reason, something about his makeup was leaving him susceptible to that quadrant of getting scored on. So I think that there's a lot there that, we can be looking at with our athletes if we're depending on like if they're the goalie, if they're, where they're playing on the field. And there's like all kinds of things, even as physical therapists or chiropractors or trainers, that we can be doing to like assess them and actually like have it spill over to their sport.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think like in the future, these details will be really important. Yeah, our athletes. Okay, so now all around the world you have internet, so you could see how the best athletes doing their exercises, training programs. So if you really want to be at the top level, I think that you have to use these details. And it doesn't matter if it's like vision training, DNS exercises, or really, I think now cool stuff about how we could sleep, or nutrition, mental coaching. Yeah, so these details will be really important in the future.
For sure.
Kind of a hot topic now is like being able to find like the athlete's dominant eye, like golf, putting, and like so then almost like changing the position of your cervical spine to put your dominant eye in a better position. What's your thought on that? Because obviously now you're affecting the cervical spine, and you could be potentially maybe messing with some other things when we're talking about like dominant eye and like how to always put your dominant eye in the right position. Or is that maybe not a good idea? Or what's your thoughts on?
Yeah. Like the dominant eye, that's really important, and to know what is your dominant eye and what is like dominant hand. It's really good to have like in the same size, so right and right, because then in your brain there won't be like the integration wouldn't be crossed, so you will have like more time to perceive the information. And yeah, in golf, there is a couple things what you can like improve, and definitely it will be same the optic fixation on the ball, and like doing the right rotation could be definitely the way. But I'm sorry, I don't know like in too much to golf. So
well, do you think then obviously you have a dominant hand? Do you think you're born with a dominant eye, or do you think that just kind of develops because
predilection or
like do you think both eyes are potentially equal, and then
no dominant eye,
yeah, okay,
definitely, and that's like what we were born with the dominant eye, so we couldn't change this,
right?
Yeah, so yeah, we in school very often we could see not so many athletic guys. And very often these guys has a problem that, for example, they have dominant left eye and dominant right hand.
Right.
So this could be like tricky and could be problem, but we are not able to solve this.
What do you think then, if we're talking about a low back, we're talking about joint dysfunction, we always kind of like try to give like an explanation of what went wrong. So if we're talking about the visual system, we just compare it to, let's just say pain. So you have nociception on your hand if you put your hand on that fire, but we don't have pain until your brain interprets that. So nociception is basically the affrontation of like what you feel. Now, in the visual system is fascinating because you have like obviously the information, the afferent information that's coming back to your brain, but then because of blind spots and other things like that, your brain is left to basically fill in this information that we're getting. So then where does it, what goes wrong?
And this is really important to notice. It's not only the vision information. Yeah, it's like all sensory integration, what we receive from the outside, which goes to our brain, and then the integration of this information, our brain give us the correct motor output. So it's not only the vision, it's a proprioception, it's a vestibular system, auditory information. So all information give us the
Full picture.
picture, and our brain like give us the prediction. Okay, so how it's gonna be. So so if I want to touch the fire, so maybe my eyes will be, oh wow, that's cool, I would like to catch the fire, but my proprioception gives me, okay, so that's really painful. So definitely like this also like give us the feedback that I wouldn't do.
Sorry to interrupt your episode, guys. I have to tell you about an important date to write down in your calendar, November 3rd through the 5th, the first annual Neurodynamics World Congress coming to you at Parker University in Dallas, Texas, November 3rd through the 5th. This is an amazing opportunity to see a true Gestalt weekend, meaning integration of multiple different people, multiple different techniques of the likes of Michael Leahy, Antonio Stecco, Brent Winchester talking about DNS, Annie O'Connor talking about pain classification mechanisms, David Seaming talking about the internal chemistry, Jeff Bove talking about the research around nerves, and of course Michael Shacklock talking about neurodynamics. This weekend at Parker University, November 3rd through the 5th is your opportunity to see not only lectures, but hands-on demonstrations and panel discussions at the end of every day to combine this all together to show how each of these different techniques is influencing the nervous system. This is an amazing opportunity to see all these people in one stage and one opportunity to have some fun with us in Gestalt education. So thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode, and we can't wait to see you at Parker University. It's November 3rd through the 5th. Registration open at gestaltedu.com/courses. See you there.
In the future.
And I also think, I mean, certain parts of the brain also, for example, like the hippocampus, which you're building memories on previous experiences when you saw a tennis ball, on a kick serve, the ball did a certain thing.
It calls Bayesian decision theory, and I think it's really like a simple example how our brains work. So you have two sources of information. One is what you said, the experience, what you did, what you felt like previously, and the second source will be our sensory feedback. And so these two sources give us, it goes to our brain. So the brain give us the prediction how it's going to be in the future. So for example, again, tennis, the ball goes into you and you remember, okay, so this guy, he did a lot of top spins, so probably the ball will go with the top spin. So I could like predict that my motor outcome will be, okay, so I'll go more like backward. Yeah. And so this will be like the previous experience what I have. And also the second source will be my vision, my auditory, my vestibular system, that where I am in the space and what I'm seeing like right now, and prepare me for the best motor output.
So do you think knowing DNS and developmental positions on top of a computer program like Synaptic or whatever you might be using, do you think that's enough, or do you think there's also a place for reflex locomotion, according to Vojta, that might potentially be helpful for recoordination of the muscles around the eyeball, or do you feel like that is not necessary?
Let me think about it. Vojta reflex approximation, the Vojta therapist knows how the eyes important and how
and you can see it.
And you can see if if you stimulate some point, you can see with your eyes that also your eyes moving. So
in perfect coordination too.
Yeah. So I think if we talk about the correct timing, so definitely it could be helpful to like mix the DNS exercise, reflex locomotion, vision training. But yeah, that's
what I think.
Yeah, that's
I think
kind of interesting. I have to,
Well, and then I guess to add on that, what about, do you feel like in some of these cases DNS is sufficient enough without the technology to training the eyes? Meaning, are we having an influence on the central nervous system enough to change the coordination of the eyes just through developmental positions and training?
I think that the trunk stabilization influenced the optic fixation, and also optic fixation influenced the trunk stabilization.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that you could do only DNS exercise without any like knowledge about the vision and how important it is, and I think it should also improve you. But it's only my opinion,
Sure.
so we don't have research for that.
What
but-
about then on assessment, Jachym? So, like, what are your favorite assessment tools? So we talked about if you just sit someone down in a chair and have them do gaze, like, is that sufficient? Like, how are you incorporating more, I don't know, make it look more athletic, if you will?
We have a couple of assessment. While if you have a really correct assessment, it should be done by optometrist guy. Yeah, they have like a huge machine.
Sure.
So definitely the visual acuity, that's the really important.
Yeah.
If you don't have a good visual acuity, you need a good correction by contact lens or glasses. And what I do for assessment, it's very often I would like to see the fixation on one point, and if my eyes could like do the correct fixation and also do a whole range of motion. Yeah, so this is for me really important. Also, I would like to see again the fixation point and this move. It calls like convergence. Yeah, and this is and convergence. Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
And this is like divergence. Yeah. So again, I would like to see like how the eyes like works in the space. But for me, it's really important if I put to some dynamic position. Yeah, because the thing what I would like to mention, and I'm not really like a fan that we should like to do this practice only in static position. I would like to see, even if, or especially when I work with athletes, how it looks with the dynamic position. So that's kind of my PhD program, that I have the synaptic, and I'm doing like synaptic, I'm doing the static synaptic assessment, and then the dynamic with the vestibular system. So we are doing with the heads like this and this, and now we can see like there is so many differences. So when you're doing like static the synaptic assessment, you could say, look, yeah, this athletes it's kind of good, and then just really like 30 degrees to the left side, 30 degrees to the right side with the metronome, and yeah, the outcomes are really different. So that like gives me that, okay, so I think that definitely we should do in the dynamic position, because that's totally different. And the sport performance, it's not static, it's dynamic.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you know, at your clinic, you guys are working on with some of the top athletes in the world. What are the things that yourself and the other therapists there, Pavel, have noticed about these best athletes in the world? What is it about their visual system that's better than the mortals or the rest of the world that, you know, that maybe that we don't know? What are they so good at with their vision that is not talked about or understated maybe?
I will give you one example. One of our Czech best tennis player, we did the assessment for the vision. She won Wimbledon, I think, for 2 times. I don't want to mention her name.
You could probably figure it out, though.
I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
So we did a vision assessment for her, and she wasn't so good. She was really not good. So there is a question how she could be good if she would have these things at the top level. Maybe she would like win the Wimbledon for
10 times.
10 times, not only 2 times. So
do you think then she's like excessively good at one of the other senses, maybe to make up for that?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then maybe if we get really good in our assessment, maybe the future contemporary assessment of the athlete is actually finding these key links in these. For her, it might be vision or vestibular system, and then you can work specifically on those.
Yeah, we have research that, of course, like if you compare a normal athlete's population with the non-athletes population, the athletes, these systems they are like in the higher level, but we don't have any research with the like really top athletes. That would be like really interesting if we take Connor McDavid, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Tom Brady, Stephen Curry, LeBron James. So how these guys have this function, like if they are in the top level. I think so. I think if you want to be at the top level, you can be blind. Yeah.
We tell a story about in the 1940s. There's this really good baseball player here called Ted Williams, and so he was the last player to bat 400, which is a really, really good batting average. But he was also he fought in World War II and the Korean War, and he was a fighter pilot, and like he had like tons of kills, and he was an amazing fighter pilot. Went on to be a great fly fisherman. But what they said in baseball was they used to write either numbers on the baseball or they would put colors on it, and he could recognize it. But, you know, we used to ask our players, like we'd say, like, could you ever be able to do that? And they're like, even this is MLB players. So like, there's no way I'd be able to do that. So either the story's gotten enhanced as the years gone along, or he had a special skill that was, you know, and I think it, like you said, I mean, visual acuity is part of it, but there's more to it than that. It's about like, it's a neurologic phenomenon.
Yeah, it's about neurological, it's about deep perception, dynamic visual acuity, multiple object tracking, peripheral vision, what else? Reaction time. And so it's not only, how I said, it's not only about your vision, it's also about your brain. Your eyes, they're only receptors, but your brain, that's the software.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course, like if we want to have like a good outputs, we should have a really good receptors, then a really good software in our brain, and these two things could give me the correct motor outcomes. If I have bad receptors, then the integration in my software will be also bad, and of course my motor output will be also bad.
And then some athletes, there's a famous linebacker for the Bears called Michael Singletary. And I saw a special, he was being interviewed, and he said when he was a young kid, like 12 years of age, without anybody telling him, he was actually practicing looking forward and then seeing what was happening in his periphery. Like he was actually practicing that. And that skill, as it turns out, is really important to play linebacker in the NFL. Sure. So like some of these athletes, it's crazy how clever their brains are to kind of know what skills are important for their skills. So sometimes like they're already working on it because for some reason they already know that it's kind of important. And so they kind of get an advantage without even realizing down the road. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Sweet. What a great conversation. I think we covered pretty much everything. Did we miss anything?
I think that not.
Well, here's what we have to do. When you finish your PhD, you have to come and present it to us
Okay.
completely, all the way through. So, what about one more?
That's kind of pressure for my PhD that I have to finish.
That's right.
But
That's
okay.
That's right. Well, the next time you come to St. Louis, for sure, we'll have you out here again. But maybe can you just, I don't want you to brag on us, but anything that you noticed that you liked or didn't like about the clinic or your takeaways or anything like that? Any feedback for us?
Well, I think that you guys are really amazing. In Czech Republic, or I think in all Europe, we have like, our thinking is that the chiropractic is doing only like crack with the neck and popping the joints, and you guys doing, I think, really well, like the combination of the really soft mobilization or soft manipulation with the DNS exercise, reflex locomotion. I think you are doing really great. So that was like really pleasure to be with you guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, thanks for
A good compliment never gets old.
That's
yeah.
right. Well,
Say it again a little louder.
Yeah,
a little slower.
well, it's been fun too. We've worked up a couple cases together, and I've kind of asked your opinion, and we kind of felt things back and forth, and it's just always fun to get a different opinion. You know, it's just it's
for me
awesome.
it was awesome experience, like to see how you work, guys, and like how it's the differences between in Europe and America.
Can I add one question? what do you think, Jachym, is the future for what is vision therapy in the athletic population? Or maybe this is another part of the question. Does visual training also bleed over into general population treatment too, maybe down the road? Or is it just only for athletes?
No. Thanks for this question, because I have to mention is that the vision training, it's not only for athletes. It could be also for kids who has a problem with reading or writing. It could help with the neurological patient after concussions, after some brain injuries. So it's not the vision training. It's not only for athletes.
Yeah.
This is like this could be like the really like take home message that you don't have to do the vision training only if you are top athletes at the major league or NFL or stuff like this. No.
Beautiful. Way to go. You said you were nervous before we started, but you absolutely crushed it.
Yeah. Thank you. I hope it's like my sentence will be like understandable. Sorry for my broken English.
No, it's perfect.
I hope that next time I will be better.
No, you crushed it, man. It was amazing. I think it's something that is going to be an ongoing conversation. I think vision is one of those things that doesn't, I wouldn't say it's glossed, but maybe just we miss out on opportunities to see the awesome changes we're having to the visual system because we just don't assess it very often.
Right.
And so I think that's going to be my big takeaway is adding some of the things that you've talked about with the assessment and like how to assess it and then see if what we're doing is changing it, because we may be having changes that we don't even realize by working on the trunk and things like that. So
it's just about to realize the things, what we do.
Exactly. And then talk about it. So beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for coming all the way to Prague. DNS is literally the backbone of what Brett and I of Gestalt, of Winchester Spine Sport, and it's a vision. We look through everything, and we're so happy about it. We can't wait to see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Rock and roll. All right. Good luck with patience. I'll talk to you next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Gestalt Education Show. If you liked it, share it, subscribe to it, send it to your friends, send it to someone that needs to hear this message. We really want everyone to be able to tune in and get the best clinical advice that they can, which we're hoping that we're giving to you with these special guests. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, or if you have any suggestions on upcoming conversations, let us know. For a list of our upcoming courses, we're adding them all the dang time. So go to gestaltedu.com, click on courses, and they'll all be right there for you. All right, have a good day.